Welcome back, folks, to the random video blog where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, run down my rambling wrestling thoughts on the wrestling world, share a few stories, etc., etc. And today I'm delivering the video I promised you guys last week with 7 things I want to see happen in WWE. So to catch up to speed real quick, I did 2 of these kind of videos about a year ago, one on January 1st, 2016, a second one on July 1st, exactly 6 months later of 2016 as well, with collectively 14 things I wanted to see happen in WWE last year. Of all of those things, a lot of them came to fruition. And just to remind you too, this is not a prediction list. Some of these things I do see happening in WWE this year, of course. Some of the things, not everything, but it's more so a wish list. Like at this time a year ago when I did this kind of video, I said AJ Styles would be in WWE. That was not at all something I thought would happen. And that was days before AJ Styles ended up going to WWE. I filmed that and put that video up on January 1st. Rumors did not break of AJ coming to WWE until the Royal Rumble, until the 4th, until he came in at the Royal Rumble many weeks later. So at that point, I had no idea. And he ended up coming over to WWE like mere days after I had put that video up here on the channel. So you never know what might happen. This video might bring us some good luck throughout 2017 in WWE. But without further ado, my first wish list item for 2017 in WWE, and also a bold prediction of mine that I said on Wrestle Rant Radio, #AskGSM a couple weeks ago. I think, or at least I hope, I would love to see in 2017 in WWE, Samoa Joe win a world championship in either Raw or SmackDown. So that to me is a bold prediction, and I know as great of a run as he has had in NXT, it was almost unfathomable a couple years ago to see Samoa Joe in either Raw or SmackDown, much less in contention for a world title, much less holding a world championship on either major show. But he has since become the first ever 2-time NXT champion, unleash havoc on NXT against Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, and everyone else who has stood up to him in the past year and a half. To me, it's only inevitable we see him in the main roster. That really isn't too much of a bold prediction. I did say in my latest wish list video about a year ago, 6 months ago rather, that Samoa Joe, that I wanted to see him on the main roster by the end of 2016. Of course, did not happen, but I think the timing is perfect right now. His feud with Shinsuke Nakamura is over. From what I've heard, he's not going to be on these latest set of NXT tapings that will be airing through TakeOver San Antonio. So unless he returns to do like a one-off match at TakeOver Orlando, I don't know why he would return after TakeOver San Antonio as opposed to wrestling on that show. That to me pretty much says that he is main roster bound in the Royal Rumble match, which is the best possible place for him. And we said a year ago that would be a great way for him to debut, but AJ came in instead. Joe stayed down in NXT, won the NXT championship, and the rest is history, really. But he does belong in the main roster. Shit him in the main roster from day one, but I really do think his stint in NXT helped him establish him as an absolute beast, an absolute ruthless monster, and winning that NXT championship twice, being the first one to beat the Demon in NXT, Finn Balor's alter ego, being the first one to beat Shinsuke Nakamura in NXT, and winning that same title twice. So yeah, I do expect him to see him on Raw or SmackDown in the near future, but in 2017, taking it a step further, I would love to see him win a world championship at some point this year, as well as being a big match at WrestleMania, which I know is rumored just yesterday via the Wrestling Observer newsletter. So the second item on my wish list for this year is none other than Sasha Banks turning heel. So in past videos, I have said I wanted to see Bayley on the main roster. That happened. I wanted to see Sasha Banks win the Raw Women's Championship. That happened. And now, also in regards to Sasha, I would love to see her go heel at some point this year, just because as big of a fan favorite as she is, as popular as she is as a babyface, which is important, to me, she just feels a lot more comfortable in the heel role. And that was very much evident throughout her entire stint in NXT. Throughout her feuds with Charlotte and Bayley and many others, it felt like to me, and Becky Lynch as well, it felt to me that she was really kind of at home with that character as a heel in NXT. So she should really kind of return to her roots as a heel at some point, return to her roots in NXT, period. But if she's going to stay in the main roster and she's a star, so I'm just kind of half joking there. She should return to being a heel at some point in the near future. And maybe by turning on Bayley. I know that was rumored a couple days ago via the Wrestling Observer newsletter. That appears to be the big turn later on down the line. That was the match I wanted to see at WrestleMania this year. They could always hold off until SummerSlam or WrestleMania next year or what have you. But whether it's this year, whether it's later on before SummerSlam, I do want to see Sasha Banks go heel before the end of 2017, whether she's on Raw or SmackDown, which is another thing I do expect to happen sometime this year. Sasha Banks being sent to the blue brand just because I feel like she could thrive over there as the top babyface, heel, whatever. Whereas on Raw, she will almost always be overshadowed by Charlotte. So my third item on the list is something I said in the latest wishlist video from the latter half of 2016. So I'll repeat it again here, and I'm more confident this time around. In 2017, I want to see Kurt Angle return to WWE. So, of course, it did not happen in the last 6 months of 2016, and it did not happen in 2016 at all. But Kurt Angle coming back, I think, would be awesome, definitely, just because he's one of those last few returns. A lot like the Batistas and the Goldbergs and, guys like that, the Brock Lesnars, that people would legitimately pop for if he came back to the company after almost 10 years, well over 10 years at this point, which is crazy to think about. But he has since left TNA. Now he's currently doing indies. I know there was a rumor a couple weeks ago that he might be WWE bound by April, or at least Kurt Angle said that himself, so take that with a grain of salt, of course, because Kurt Angle is not always the most reliable source. But, yeah, I don't know if he's going to be a big match. I don't know if he's going to be involved in a big match at WrestleMania. I'd be surprised just because, and that might be weird to say, but just because we have so much star power this year with everyone, first of all, being healthy. But in addition to that, you have Triple H, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg. So you already have a slew of stars being at WrestleMania. John Cena. I don't know if you really need Kurt Angle. So whether he comes in at the Rumble in time for WrestleMania, the night after WrestleMania, whatever it might be, or even later on in 2017 to be the cover boy for 2K18, the WWE 2K18 video game, as we've seen with Sting in recent years and Goldberg and stuff like that. Kurt Angle coming back to WWE this year is a must. The guy's amazing. People have been waiting a long time for it. So when we hear dun da da dun da da dun dun da da dun, the place will go fucking nuts, and I will subsequently lose my goddamn mind. So can't wait for that. Item number 4 of things I want to see happen in WWE in 2017 is none other than William Regal getting inducted into the Hall of Fame over WrestleMania weekend. The WWE Hall of Fame, that is, obviously. And the reason I say that, it might be a bit far off for some, and it might still be far off, but I had just read literally minutes before I started filming this video via the Wrestling Observer newsletter or whatever source it might have been, that Regal is currently being considered as a candidate to get inducted this year into the Hall of Fame as a current employee, which I did not think would happen until he was gone from the company years down the road. But to me, he's a very worthy inductee for all the things that he accomplished in his WWE career, WCW and beyond, over in the Indies and over in England and so on and so forth. I think he is very much a worthy candidate to get inducted in the Hall of Fame. So I was kind of struggling to fill out this list of things I wanted to see happen this year because a lot of the things are kind of self-explanatory. And this still might be a bold prediction, or not really a bold prediction, but might be a slight possibility of things that might happen in WWE in 2017. But I figured I would include it. As you guys know, I'm a huge Regal fan, and I would love nothing more than to see him take his rightful place among the Immortals in the Hall of Fame over WrestleMania weekend this year. So number 5 of things I want to see happen in WWE this year is Bobby Roode not only getting called up to the main roster, but the Revival as well. Now, I said Bobby Roode. I put him on my wish list as the kind of like a dark horse to be called up late last year and the remainder of 2016. On the off chance that he would completely bypass NXT, be there for a month or two, a lot like Kevin Owens, and then come up to Raw or SmackDown. Obviously did not happen. He's been down in NXT for about 4 or 5 months now, since August of 2016. But 2017, I think, has got to be the year. The guy ain't getting any younger, and he's an absolute star. I don't see him winning the NXT Championship in Orlando, or rather at San Antonio in a couple weeks, just because Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno came back. They're probably doing Ohno and Shinsuke Nakamura at Orlando, so that's fine. And if that's the case, TakeOver is just the day before NXT, or be right before, the Royal Rumble, so he could be called up that same Sunday. You never really know, a lot like Samoa Joe. If that's the case, with all the star power we have at WrestleMania, I think he would be better saved. I think I'd rather have him lose to Nakamura at San Antonio, do another match at TakeOver Orlando over WrestleMania weekend against Roderick Strong or something like that, and then subsequently be called up to the main roster the night after WrestleMania. I could only imagine the crowd reaction to Bobby Roode's theme song on that post-WrestleMania Raw or SmackDown. It would be nuts. The whole crowd singing Glorious. So yeah, that's what I would love to see happen. Bobby Roode coming up to Raw or SmackDown at some point in 2017. In addition to, and I didn't want to do the same prediction like I did with Angle by saying Bobby Roode will be called up this year, or I want to see Bobby Roode called up this year. So I also wanted to include the Revival, The Revival, to me, are kind of a dark horse. Again, I read a lot of things late last night and this morning, courtesy of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, of updates of Royal Rumble plans, WrestleMania plans, and stuff of that nature. Apparently, they have this whole class, the Terry Taylor class, apparently, from at the Performance Center in NXT, that trains to be promoted, to kind of be, seasoned, I guess is the right word for the main roster. And the Revival were not in that class. They were in the second class down with guys like Oney Larkin and Roderick Strong, who I do not expect to be called up anytime soon. So I was kind of surprised about that. Elias Sampson was in the class that might be called up sometime soon, but the Revival was not. TM61 was in the class that might be called up soon. The Revival was not. That was very weird to me, just because the Revival have done everything there is to do in NXT. They've won the titles twice now. They had amazing matches with DIY, American Alpha, Enzo and Cass, the Vaudevillains. Other than TM61, who is now currently hurt, apparently they were slated to face each other, maybe a TakeOver San Antonio or, at some point down the line, which they still could do. But apparently Shane Thorne is hurt, and he's going to be hurt for a while. So you can't do that feud right now. What else do you do with Revival in NXT? And even that feud, other than just putting over TM61, there's really nothing left for them to do. I mean, they've already dropped the belts to DIY back at TakeOver Toronto. They got the rematch in NXT. They lost this past week. The Revival, to me, are a no-brainer for the main roster, and Raw could desperately use them right now. I mean, SmackDown is the better show, but Raw's tag team scene needs all the help it could get. They have the Club, they have Enzo and Cass, they have the New Day, they have Cesaro and Sheamus, but other than maybe Cesaro and Sheamus, none of those teams feel remotely special to me. So calling up Revival to do a match with Cesaro and Sheamus at WrestleMania for the tag belts would be awesome. So hopefully we see either Bobby Roode and or the Revival up on the main roster at some point this year. So number 6 on my wish list of things I want to see happen in WWE in 2017 is the Club moving over to SmackDown. Now, I don't know why they were split up from AJ Styles in the first place, but it has literally, they have died a death. It has killed them dead on Monday Night Raw. They got the whole push for the tag titles. They lost God knows how many times. I would love to know how many title shots they fucking lost the New Day over the course of 2016. They're now currently chasing the championships again. Now that they're in the possession of Cesaro and Sheamus, and I'm pretty sure they will lose again because Cesaro and Sheamus just won the belts at Roadblock, so they're not going to take the titles off of them anytime soon, I don't think. And just the Club are just fucking dying to death on this show. They don't know what to do with these guys. They're goddamn losers. Put them on SmackDown with AJ Styles. I would laugh. Of course they would put them on SmackDown if they then move AJ Styles to Raw, which is another thing I do not want to see happen. I should do another one of these videos of things I do not want to see happen in 2017. And AJ going to Raw would be leading that list, just because he's a star on SmackDown. He'd be a star on Raw too, but I fear for anyone who is put on Raw, just because I fear they will fuck them up badly. And so I really hope that's not the case. But yeah, so I hope the Club moves over to SmackDown. That might not be. So if I do another one of these videos, like on July 1st, like I said earlier, like the first random video blog of July, it might not have happened yet, just because the draft last year was in July. They might wait to do another draft until July of this year. So it might take a little longer, but they could always do a trade, like the Vaudevillains for the Club. Really, the Vaudevillains do not mean that much more, that much less than the Club, really, just because they've both been booked terribly on their respective shows. The Vaudevillains, whatever, who gives a fuck anyway? The Club have a tremendous amount of talent and potential, so the fact they got fucked over, really, to me, pisses me off. But yeah, move them over to SmackDown with AJ, maybe do something with Finn Balor on Raw when he gets back. But either way, SmackDown has got to get the Club in order to salvage that dead act. And then finally, my final thing I want to see happen this year. This is probably the least likely of them all. I mean, there is still a chance it could happen. But then again, like I said earlier, I said AJ Styles would go to WWE, or I wanted to see AJ Styles in WWE last year. That was my, very unlikely bold prediction for 2017. And look what happened. He came on over literally days after I filmed that video and became the superstar of the year for that company last year. So this year, I think not AJ Styles. He's already in the company. Adam Cole, another A name. Adam Cole will come over from Ring of Honor to WWE. And it's a long shot. I talked to Adam Cole about a month and a half ago, and he said he wanted to explore other options, maybe go over to Japan once he's done in Ring of Honor. He recently won back the Ring of Honor World Championship at Wrestle Kingdom 11 against Kyle O'Reilly, another guy who might be NXT bound, which is cool. Not a big O'Reilly fan, but the guy's good. Adam Cole, to me, though, is just a much bigger star. He's got the look. He's got the mic skills. He's an awesome wrestler. He's the perfect package that WWE looks for in their guys, other than maybe his size, but really, let's bypass that because AJ Styles is no fucking giant. He was the superstar of the year for that company last year. So, really, I think Adam Cole coming to WWE at some point is a no-brainer, but I would like to speed up the process and like to see him in WWE at some point this year in 2017. And I think his contract expires in April. And like I said, I know he's the current Ring of Honor World Champion, but he can always drop that belt at any point from now until April. I mean, they've done the flippity-floppity with that belt over the past couple of months, but if it means Adam Cole coming to WWE this year, it would be certainly worth it. And I would say Jay Lethal too, but I know he recently re-signed with Ring of Honor, so I know that's not happening. But anyway, guys, those are 7 things I want to see happen in WWE this year. Quick recap of the list. Samoa Joe winning a world championship on either Raw or SmackDown. Sasha Banks turning heel. Kurt Angle returning to WWE. William Regal getting inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame over WrestleMania weekend. Number 5, Bobby Roode and or The Revival coming up to the main roster. Number 6, the club moving over to SmackDown. And number 7, Adam Cole signing with WWE at some point this year. So what do you guys want to see happen in WWE and TNA, Ring of Honor, the world of wrestling, the world in 2017? Let me know down below in the comments on Twitter, at WrestleRant, on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Your support is amazingly appreciated. And I can't wait to look back on this video and see how wrong I was on so many of these predictions by the end of 2017. And a lot like last year, if a lot of these predictions come to fruition by the end of the first half of 2017, we might do another in July. Time will tell. We will soon see. But in the meantime and in between time, guys, have an awesome week. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support is such amazingly appreciated, as I said earlier. Just be well, stay safe, have a great one, guys, and I'll catch you folks down the road.